This day 1097, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Like sponsor, come share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please come me directly. Be very greatly appreciated. Today we're still in Simon Tzadik Test in your Adea. Simon Lamed, Sif Lamed Vav to Sif Mem Gimel. Lavav. Hamnam Lehefik. So till then we'll talk about Embal and Isra Chatchila by adding on Heter. What about the opposite? Shnidvasif Isser, when the Isser was added on to the mix, as I vada enchil ben no, that doesn't make a difference whether you became aware of it or did not. When you or not become aware of it, Isser calls them neir. The Isser wakes up. In other words, the bittul is null. The bittul itself is mevutal. Nullification is nullified. Mashkas Rabbeinu Ramah, see Vav is Oshana. Isser Shizbatan, Isser which was nullified. You go. Shayel Shishim Genegos says was 60 corresponding to. Afterwards, from the first Isser was added on to it. It wakes up again and it's Osir again. It doesn't matter if it's the same species or not the same species. Whether it's dry or moist. Maybe he found out in the interim between the two fallings or not. The reason is simple. I feel lahat there, even if it's lahat there. Yisrael Amar Matzah Minas Mina V'Nior, V'Nior, even for Heter, of course, there's a possibility of saying that Matzah Minas Mino, the species find each other and they strengthen each other, literally awaken each other, and wakens having a tumah maras tumah even in terms of tumah awakens tumah. Koshkin isser, certain in terms of isser. Sheish bezen sinas tam, gives a taste. Or come to give a taste. Lechen am sheish becomes a shas mina rishon batel. Even though in places in shas where you say, as things fall in, they're batel drop by drop or segment by segment. That's where an Isser Mashu, when it's not a question of taste. Not Isser which can come to giving a taste. The diagram is heter. Even though we found in terms of truma that the awareness causes the heter. The truma which falls into the mixture after you became aware of it and it became mutter through bittul doesn't awaken the original truma and make it usher again. It's because by truma also you don't go after taste. The bittul ben the bittul is in 101 regardless. Even though in it fell in two times, it's really ratio 50 to 1, not 100 to 1. It could come to give a taste. It's primary notifications, not because of giving taste. They're not concerned. Furthermore, the be'emes kaimel and shom ka'achami the harama goremes heter, where we actually hold like chachamim that the saw that you take out, which you have to take out after it's bought to 1 in 100, it causes the heter. So once they lift up a saw for the truma in lieu of the truma that fell in, means the saw also you saw should say the saw you removed is the saw which fell in. There is no taste to speak about. And this happens ad infinitum. Okay, as he says, is his opinion. I am Ashkabassim Kuflan, but I'll see if that's even though you can't deliberately negate a prohibition, the etim shemuksa if you have wood which is muksa, which fell into an oven on yontif. You can add on wood which is not muksa and make a fire. Mishum the ain kan rak is rabbanon because muksa is only is rabbanon. But piece of course a Rambam periktas. Well, based on Rambam writes periktas of machos asur din chapsain. The base of the rabbanon and any is rabbanon can go cholav. Such as milk which fell into a pot of chicken. Marula basar of, you can add on more chicken meat. Until you negate the milk in 60. And so to anything similar, ayin sham. First class of the din ain balim isur. He writes explicitly that the Allah you're not allowed to negate deliberately nullify prohibition. Rock beats the doraisa. It's only by Torah prohibition. Every other rabbi argues in him. The rights of Rabbanan holds there's no difference between the rights of Rabbanan. The only opinion by Muktzeh, because Muktzeh is a prohibition which has no source from which it is derived in the Torah, even though we learn out from Hotzah, that's similar to Hotzah, but that's really very far removed. Those who say those who say even if it's a law which has no ikr in the Torah, it's also in battle. Say it's only by muktzah with their matir. From the iser nisraf v'hayalefer because the iser is burnt up and it becomes ashes. And the benefit you get is after it became ashes, after the cooking is finished. But others assume they did not permit it at all. Bezos says, Isur shall divrei. Isur Rabbanan aim marvin also be done. You can't deliberately mix it to a violent in order to nullify it. You must come amazed you did it deliberately. It's also enough of me atzmo. But if it fell on its own, the ain't had bad to get a battle and there's not enough heter to negate it. Nullify marble level and battle. You can add on and negate it, nullify it. What does he mean? Says Arukh HaShulchan, Zelkeim Shor Ben Das Ram B'chol Poskim. It's like a compromise between the Rambam and the other poskim. The battle etzem iser to nullify the actual iser also commotion b'shel Torah. It's forbidden. She's like a Torah prohibition. Have a harbo slov the hatil a heter hakodem shenofal iser l'tochon. But to add on, in order to save the heter, which is there prior to the Isser falling in, mutim nea hefseid. It's really because of the loss. So you can't take an Isser piece of Isser the Rabbanan. So you can't take a piece of B'cholav and be marble level and be mabatolit. I can't do. But if your piece of B'cholav fell into your regular chicken or your regular milk, let's say chicken, fell into regular chicken, you're allowed to be marbe in order to save the heter which preceded the iser in this mixture. Umukor Rashba, the source in the Rashba Sifro, the Torah Sabayach Arukh. V'havagav the Torah Kasa Shem Rashba means the Rakal Iser Shel Divrei Shem Ikim Torah. Even though the Torah only writes this on an Iser the Rabbanan, which has no derivation from the Torah. Kishum no Shel Git, such as the fat of the Gir Anoshe, Ubishlim Mitzrim, and the Bishul Akum. Mitzrim is obviously censorship, and the Bishul Nochri, or whatever they're called, Uvino Seyem, and the cheese of non-Jews. Not in all Yisur Rabbanan. Chemar Dvar B'Sipro, and that seems to be the indication of the Rashba elsewhere in Torah Sabayis HaKotzer. Mikomachol nevertheless, Pasuk Rabbeinu B'Seis Pisi for Agodo. He says in Pasuk what it says in the Torah Sabayis HaArukh that any Rabbanan. When it says since he did not elaborate, the Vula Hedja is quite explicit. The Levatel Isser Be'ein Beheter, that to negate and nullify an Isser which is here independently, and with Heter also ab Isser Shen Iker. That's also even in an Isser the Rabbanan which has no Iker in the Torah. The Bible, one exception, the Bible Chumas Chutz La'aretz, K'mosh Kasob Siman Shin Lamed Av. Chuma Chutz La'aretz, if you have Chuma Chutz La'aretz, you can take the Chumas Chutz La'aretz and Mi'avatel deliberately. Hostif Mutar. But all that's regardless, if you need to add, if there's already heter there, and it fell in, and then you have to add, that's okay. So if you have leftover oil from Chanukah, which is also you're not allowed to use, he says you're not allowed to add on and nullify it. Because it's something which you can use in a mutter way. Interesting. You keep her next Chanukah. Something which is Davashesh Matir, the more machmir. It's interesting. I never thought Ner Chanukah. Something Davashesh Matir because you can keep it till next Chanukah. I should put this down on Chaim. Lamates. Avra Ben Rama because of the issue in the end about this is the Rabbanan. The Ramah says some people say you shouldn't nullify this the Rabbanan. Olo sifalab or add on it. Come over to the Raisa just like this is the Raisa. Nira. The Ramah says that seems to be correct. Ben Lashon you cannot deviate. Akal Lashon. V'zeu kedas a Rosh Torah is like opinion of the Rosh Torah. I feel Isra Rabbanan she'ein lo ikar min Torah, even Isra Rabbanan, even one which is no derivation from the Torah. Also, I feel lo sif olav. Now that even to add on it, lo itil rak by it's a muktzah. It's only permissible by muktzah wood. Shena balach and shnisa because the ben becomes after it's burnt. This is the rice I feel b'chai gav lo itiru, and if it's just the rice, even when the ben comes after it's burnt, they weren't matching it. Go matzi ashera, such as with ashera wood for orla and orla fruit, v'kili kerem, and that which grows in a mixture of a vineyard and grain. And even in Truma of Chutzlar, it's really loyal lazar. They only you can't even you nullify it. It's not mutter for non-Kohen. Kohen made to Moses the same mutter for Kohen when he's tummy. It's from Tersus and Bechoros. V'dadi Rishami Reish Bei Beis Kilayim Mavur Lehedia the Isser Shu Rakim Name Maris Ayin Rashi Abat Lo Chatchil Ayin Sham. Sham says an Isser is only because of Maris Ayin you are allowed to nullify it. Mem, B'dai, you should know the same rate tzadik test, and this bar the Mishnah side of Tzemer and Pishtan, we're talking about shatnez, if somebody had wool get mixed up with linen, maybe mean acher, you could bring another type of fabric, and mix it with them, and nullify one of the two, the wool or the linen. But it's only before you made it into thread. Once made the thread, I feel even one thread is not bottle in a garment. It's the exact opposite of what we're talking about here. Here we're not allowed to deliberately nullify a prohibition. Thereby shot as we can. On the contrary, when Issa fell into Heter, become bottle. Shir bittul. Here it's bottle if you have a shir bittul, row of 60. The sham in there, even one string is one thread is not bottle of the whole garment. I can't say the thread has significance like a whole creature, or a piece which is a cut which is suitable to a guest. There must be another reason for that. It's not nullified, but we need some logic for the opposites here. So the Yisraelim said that bittul notification only is relevant when something prohibited falls into something permitted. There was that goes. So turn that to the creed acher rabbim lahatos follow the majority. But something permitted, which found something permitted. But when they meet each other, not say iser. Like kilayim, which comes from wool and linen, they ischapus so that the fusion makes a prohibition. Lo shach bittul is not relevant. Zel Sharabba says should be like basa b'cholam. But Zel Lashon Rabba says I think it is. Zel Lashon, yeah, he's going to say that. Okay, he's going to come speak about basa b'cholam. But Zel Lashon Rabba say about it. Tosfos. It says need in the Samach Aleph. The low shach bittul she'isa more better. Bittul only applies when iser gets mixed into heter. Avokilayim, but by shatnez sh'shteim heter, and they're both heter, and they get forbidden by becoming mixed together. Kach asur amruba kamamot. The majority fabric is asur just like the minority fabric. Majority material is asur just like the minority material. Akal Shono. Meaning, the Mishlama Isra more better move a little bit of prohibited substance and a large amount of permitted substance. Mitzraba heter Isra Badlo, the heter overwhelms the Isra and nullifies it. Avo Isra Shai they tell us, but an Isra comes by a mixture. Which name in the heter are both on their own are mutter. Lo Shalamasha Muruba Ivato Samur. You can't say the majority nullifies the minority. To me, a might the Shamut Osa Samuba Muruba and Batlo. It doesn't really who says that's minority. Forbidding the majority, and therefore the majority should nullify it. Then we'll have maybe it's the opposite. Maruba says Samud. Maybe the majority is asking the minority. The Rashi writes have a kol shezeb is heter. Remember, they're both heter taruvos no sarton, and the mixture makes them all. So me about tells me who's going to negate, who's going to cancel who, who's going to nullify the other, who's not the other. Hakal sharo. Kamanos get vareinu. This is what we said. Ay, v'zeh shebasa b'chol bato habasa b'chol b'chol b'basa. Shishim. Sorry, it's interrupted with Shiloh. Called the Shiloh. That which we do say that if it's the shishim of the meat corresponding to the milk, or milk corresponding to the meat, it's but that was nation derek bishul asotorah. It's because derek bishul asotorah. Shein tam, it's no taste. Ain't no derek bishul. It's not going to be derek bishul umutar. It's permitted. Members, the main lishol. And you can ask. Need to be Torah says about to low shak bitum mitam time near time shekosam. Okay, can't say the is bottom letter. Avo akopani is bottom but let the minority be bottom majority. Let's take away the isser heter aspect. It's nothing. It's insignificant. Two reasons why not. The heter if we say that heter is not negated, not nullified, that means there's no concept of nullification without isser and heter. I feel even those who don't know the way, and we will see people who don't say that way. You can't say nullification. This is what the Torah forbade. So when you join the two together, that's the prohibition. How can you say bittul now, which the Torah explicitly forbade? No, it's going to say the minority is nullified by the majority. It's not much Torah. Let's talk Kilaim. We have to say Torah only forbade shatnez when it's 50-50. For this doesn't make sense. Torah permitted shatnez and tzitzis and big dikuna, but some ain't mechza. It's not 50-50. It never lets me need a special answer. That is what the rush means there. Nidosh because when a heter gets mixed up with heter, I date ha'roiv nesar. It's forbidden because of the mixture. Lo shayb is a bit of can't say it's nullified by the majority. Ain't kan el chaticha achas shel iser. It's only one piece of iser here. Akan shono. Mashazoa iser ba'atzmo she's arev zeb zeb. That this is the iser itself that we become mixed up with each other. So madani yontiv in the rush. So Rashi dabashli tmur ayin sham. I would say differently. I would say, and perhaps I would say even different. This is what the rush means. That the thread of let's say of a single thread of linen, wool garment, but that thread of linen next to that thread of wool next to it is a 1-on-1 proportion. The rest of the garment doesn't matter to us, right? That garment over there in that one spot, it's a 1-to-1, and that's not bato. That's the isser. So each thread, each unity of thread next to another thread is a new seer. It's a new issue. Seer is wrong. A new question, a new issue. But here in this specific place, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not a 1-to-1,000. It's a 1-to-1. I think that's the shot. It's still a great question here. When Kilaim comes to seeds, a sow which has let's say wheat, which has a quarter in a barley, which is 1/24. A barley, you have to take away, you have to remove the barley. In other words, you have to completely remove it. But that's only if you start with more than 1/24. If you start with less than 1/24, it's bato. Mabin kilib kilib gadim. What's it? Kilib zoranim kilib gadim. Each one is hefted by itself. And this is when they fuse together. So he says it's not possible if you're not going to have one seed from another species. Torah wasn't given to Malachin. Therefore, at any time it's mixed, it's bato. So it's not more than 1/24. But to deliberately mix, I feel garin echad also, even one seed is also. I will keep going. It's arba or the merderech mikra, but killer begadim. It's not the derech of oilam for it to be that way. Lodi telling his butler that's why it's not going to be nullified. And he's going to see in Mendalit, which we'll see tomorrow. It's going to give another resolution of the difference between shatnez and kilei zroim.